Hello, friends. The Supreme Court just handed older veterans one of the biggest back pay victories in decades. For some retirees over 65, it means $50,000 or more, tax-free, reaching all the way back to 2003. Here are the 6 things you need to know, and stay with me until number 6, because it's about the veterans everyone assumes are already taken care of. They're the ones owed the most. Number 1. What this court ruling actually says, because the details are where your money is. The case is Soto versus United States, decided June 12, 2025, and the vote was 9-0. Unanimous. Simon Soto, a Marine Corps veteran, applied for Combat-Related Special Compensation CRSC, a tax-free monthly payment for military retirees whose disabilities trace back to combat conditions. The government agreed he qualified. But when it came time to pay what he was owed from earlier years, they used an old law called the Barring Act to cap his back pay at 6 years. Everything older than 6 years, erased. The Supreme Court looked at the CRSC statute, Title 10, Section 1413A, and ruled that it carries its own settlement authority, which means the Barring Act's 6-year limit does not apply to CRSC. Not shortened, does not apply at all. That single sentence unlocked back pay for a class of more than 9,000 retired veterans who had money cut off by that cap. And here's the part most reports skipped. The Pentagon tried to narrow the ruling with new guidance in August 2025 and again in January 2026. And on May 14, 2026, the Department of Defense retracted both policies and committed to reviewing affected records and issuing corrected decisions. The typical mistake is deadly. Veterans see an old decision letter that says payment was limited by the Barring Act and assume it's final. It is not final anymore. That letter is now the receipt proving you're owed more. Number 2. Who actually qualifies, because it's wider than the word combat makes it sound. CRSC has 3 conditions, and you need all 3. First, you're a military retiree. That includes 20-year retirees and Chapter 61 medical retirees. Second, you have a VA disability rating of at least 10% that's combat-related. Third, your retired pay was reduced by the VA offset, the old rule that docked $1 of retirement for every $1 of VA compensation. Now, combat-related is the phrase that scares people off, and it shouldn't. The rules count 4 categories: armed conflict, hazardous duty, think airborne, flight deck or demolition work, training that simulates war, and injuries caused by an instrumentality of war, which covers military vehicles, weapons systems, and Agent Orange exposure. A back injury from a night parachute jump in 1978 can qualify. Hearing loss from artillery training can qualify. PTSD from a combat zone qualifies. A knee crushed during a field exercise that simulated wartime conditions qualifies. A Vietnam veteran with diabetes rated as an Agent Orange condition can qualify under instrumentality of war. If you meet the conditions, the money can reach back to June 2003 for regular retirees, or to January 2008 for many Chapter 61 medical retirees. Those are the statutory floors of the program itself. The mistake that cost the most here: a 70-year-old retiree says, "I was never in a firefight, this isn't for me," and never files. Meanwhile, his neighbor with the same training injury files DD Form 2860 and collects a 5-figure check. This week, pull out your VA rating decision and read what each condition is actually rated for. If any of it traces to hazardous duty, training accidents, or military equipment, you have a case. Number 3. The actual math, because years of back pay sounds vague until you put dollars on it. CRSC is paid monthly and tax-free at rates tied to the VA compensation tables. In 2026, a 100% rate runs over $4,000 a month. Now, say the old cap erased 10 years of your entitlement. You were eligible starting June 2003, but you applied in 2019, so they only paid you back to 2013 and deleted the decade before it. At $800 a month, that deleted decade is $96,000. At $400 a month, it's still $48,000. Even a modest $300 a month over an erased decade is $36,000. Money the 6-year cap would have simply made disappear before this ruling. And because CRSC is tax-free, that's not before taxes. That's the check. Compare that with what actually happened to the plaintiff class. More than 9,000 retirees had exactly this kind of money withheld. Not because they didn't qualify, the government agreed they qualified, but because they applied too late. Many of them are in their 70s and 80s today. The mistake here is dismissing small monthly numbers. Veterans here, you'd only get a few hundred more a month, and don't bother. But back pay multiplies that few hundred by every eligible month, and more than 23 years have passed since June 2003. So do your own multiplication this week. Your monthly CRSC amount times the months between when you first met all three conditions and when payments actually started. And remember number 6. The veterans already cashing CRSC checks every month are exactly the ones who need to run this math. Number 4. The automatic review trap. After the ruling, the services announced record reviews. The Army alone says more than 7,000 claims are being reviewed automatically, with corrected decision letters going to DFAS, the Defense Finance and Accounting Service, and mailed to veterans. Sounds like you can sit back and wait. You can't. Automatic reviews miss people. They can apply the wrong effective date. And even when they work, they're slow. Once a corrected memo is issued, the DFAS audit that calculates your money can take around 120 business days, roughly 6 months of calendar time before a payment appears. And one thing nobody tells you, CRSC is Defense Department money, not VA money. Calling the VA about it gets you nowhere. Here's what to do instead of waiting. Find your CRSC award letter and locate the effective date they actually used. Then write down the first month you met all three conditions: retired, rated, offset. If those two dates don't match, the gap is unpaid months, and every one of those months is money. Veterans reviewing their own files have caught effective dates set years after their real eligibility, an error worth tens of thousands that nobody at DFAS was going to catch for them. The mistake: assuming a government review equals a correct review. The class in Soto spent years in court precisely because the government's own math shortchanged them. So check your monthly retiree account statement on MyPay over the coming months for retroactive adjustments. And if 6 months pass in silence, write to your branch's CRSC board and ask where your review stands. Paper trails move faster than phone calls. Number 5. How to file, refile, or fix a claim step by step. The form is DD. Form 2860, Claim for Combat-Related Special Compensation, and it goes to your branch's CRSC board. For the Army, that's Human Resources Command. The Navy and Marine Corps have their own CRSC board, and so does the Air Force. There is no filing deadline. You can apply at any time, and if approved, compensation is paid retroactively for any eligible month after May 2003. 3 situations, 3 moves. If you never applied, file DD Form 2860 now with your retirement orders, your VA rating decision, and any records tying the disability to hazardous duty, training, or equipment. If you were approved but your back pay was cut off at 6 years, request reconsideration, cite Soto versus United States by name, and explicitly ask for full retroactive payment to your first eligible month. Boards process what you ask for, so ask for all of it in writing. If you were denied years ago over timing, that denial rests on a rule the Supreme Court just struck down, so resubmit it. And you do not have to do this alone, and you should not pay anyone a percentage. The National Veterans Legal Services Program, the organization that won Soto, runs a free program called Lawyers Serving Warriors at nvlsp.org. County Veterans Service Officers, the DAV, and the VFW will also file this paperwork with you at no charge. The mistake: handing a claims consultant 20% of a back pay award for a form that free accredited help fills out every day. Whatever you send, keep a dated copy of every page and mail anything physical with tracking. If a board loses your packet, your copy and your receipt are what protect your effective date. Gather 3 documents this week: retirement orders, VA rating decision, old CRSC letters, and you're ready. Number 6. The one most people get completely backwards. Everyone assumes this ruling is for veterans who were denied. It's the opposite. The biggest checks are going to veterans who were approved, the ones already getting a CRSC deposit every single month. Here's why. If you were denied, there's no capped award sitting in your file. But if you applied late and were approved, the old rule quietly sawed off every month older than 6 years, often without the veteran ever realizing what was taken, because the money that vanished was money you never saw arrive. Those truncated awards are exactly what the class in Soto sued over, and exactly what the Pentagon is now re-reviewing. So the veteran who says, "I'm all set, my CRSC comes in on the 1st, is often sitting on the largest unpaid balance of anyone watching this video. One more twist. If your decision came through between August 2025 and May 2026, it deserves a second look too, because during those months, the Pentagon was operating under the two policies it later retracted on May 14, 2026, meaning the math on your award may already be outdated in your favor. And older veterans should move first, not last. This is money for months already lived. The oldest claims reach back to 2003, and the paperwork you need is easiest to gather now while you know where it is. If your CRSC payment started more than 6 years after you first qualified, you are the person this ruling was written for. So here's your one action step this week. Pull your CRSC award letter, find the effective date, and compare it to the first month you were retired, rated, and offset. Any gap at all, file DD, Form 2860 or request reconsideration, cite Soto, and ask for every month. If this video helped, subscribe and share it with a veteran in your family. They may be owed decades.